Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about the Valley Amplifier, and this time it's going to be a damage build, right? I promised a damage build that would do very well against the Mist Pod and UFO wave, right? And we're not going to use any wall launchers, no floor launchers, no wall lights. So a lot of these traps that I always relied on for recycling, I'm not going to be using at all. I'm just going to path them exactly the way I want them to and just do tons of damage. And I think the best way to witness this is to just view a clip of it. So you know what? Why don't you just enjoy this clip of me handling the UFO wave, alright? So relax and enjoy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we have a somewhat naked amplifier over here. Alright, now I'm going to go over a few things before we start building, right? Now the first thing over here on the west side, I have changed the block off slightly, right? And I changed the block off slightly, and you can also change this for your cheesy build or for your lava amplifier. And the reason why I changed this block off is actually because there is a mist spot on this tile, right? A mist pod spawn. So this mist pod spawn, what it ends up doing is it breaks all the walls all surround this, right? And also the stair, which is a total of 3 layers that it can destroy potentially, right? So what I decided to do is shift the block off in such a way which even if that mist pod can spawn, it won't destroy builds and it will not destroy builds after it spawns, right? So the way I did that is to have these slants over here as shown, right? So when the mist pod does spawn, it won't break any tiles over here, and also it will just path up here, right? When you're camping all the way towards the south, right? So that's why I changed the design. It's for this particular mist pod spawn, right? We have slants and the walls all surround this with the wall launchers. And I think I'm using healing wall launchers, but you can use whatever wall launchers you got. It doesn't really matter. Now, I'm going to need a total of 7 layers over here, right? Just as before, I need a total of 7 layers, right? So we have 1 layer, we have 2 layers over here, right? And then we're going to have 1 flat walls over here, right? Which is 3 layers. The flat floor with the pyramids, which is 4 or 5 layers. The flat walls over here, 6 layers. And finally, the flat floors over here, which is a total of 7 layers. And this would ensure that these smashers do not path on this west side over here. And also really good for the lava area as well. So this would work for the mist pods and also give you the appropriate amount of layers for both amps, right? Which is nice. And of course you can put an 8th layer over here, right, if you want to, but the reason why I left this open over here, in case if I chose to put on a defender pad over here, right, if I put on a defender pad, and this would be cool as well. Excuse me. Now let's go over to this block off over here towards the southeast. Now this southeast block off over here, right, the southeast block off over here is going to be pretty much the exact same as my cheesy amplifier, right? Now if you're having troubles with this particular lava bomb shift, now all you have to do is place some pyramids over here and it should be fine, right? It should be fine. You shouldn't have any problems with that. Now we're going to put flat floors over here and the pyramids on top, just like before, right? So pretty much it's going to be the exact same kind of block off with the cheesy amplifier, right? The flat floors, pyramids all surround that. And you should have a block off, something like this over here, right? Something like this, we should be cool. Alright, and underneath over here, just as before, just as an extra precaution, I'm going to put gas traps over here, right? You can also put a dynamo over here, right, just in case, or I think, maybe I'll put a healing spike, just in case, there we go. But these are completely optional. From my experience, I did not have any husk beating under here, right? I think I only had them beating under there if I'm standing on the amplifier, right? Which I guess you could put on for that reason. For this block off though, I'm actually not going to use these slants over here because for my testing, they actually weren't needed. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove them, right? Save a little bit of structures. And I'm just going to put down 3 walls over here. Alright, right in the bangs in the middle. Alright, from here, I am going to put these over here. Alright, so I'm going to put that wall, flat floor, pyramid, and I'll explain that later, which if you've seen my other video, then you should already know. And one thing also to mention too is that the 2 walls over here is very important for the block off on this northeast, right? If you do not have these 2 walls over here, this block off will not work. These are essential. Okay. Now to get the husk pattern over here towards the west, we are going to do that, right? Flat floor, the wall, and you are good. And they will always do the U-turn without ever breaking this, right? Which is very critical. Once we have that, we are going to make a little pathing over here, right? So we're going to path the husk all the way over here, and put these floors over here, right? Path them all the way up, and then eventually path to the amplifier over here, right? You can eventually path them over here, or of course, right, what you can do, right, which is perfectly fine, which I do, is to be a little bit more greedy and path them 1 tile more west, right? And this is also reasonable. So I'm going to surround this with walls and ceilings all across, right over here. Okay, I'm just going to cover it all the way across as shown. And sure, you can have a damage build something like this, right? Something like this, right? Then you put the thing over here. I think I might put these over here too, just in case. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so we have a damage build, something like this over here, just a basic damage tunnels, right? And we can just start trapping it out, right? So I'm going to start trapping it out. And this is probably going to be a sand wall over here. This is a sand wall. And I'm going to put these also as sand walls over here, right? Put these as sand walls over here. Alright. And I think this one, no, I won't put a sand wall. Alright, so we have something like this. Now, of course, you can do the really expensive damage build I got, or you can use a simple damage version. So it doesn't really matter too much in my opinion. I mean, one will do more damage, but it's really costly to do my version, right? It's very, very costly, right? But I can show you both versions, alright? So one thing I think I'll do is just show you a cheap version of how to do this damage build, and then you can do my expensive one, right? So the cheap version, right, which would pretty much just be sound walls over here, right? So sound walls at least on the first 4 tiles over here, right? I think I'm gonna put the sound wall on the first 4 tiles, and wooden floor spikes. And you should be pretty much good on most propanes, right? As long as you have mega base down, you should be good on most propanes. You can do a little bit more and put a sound wall on this tile over here, right? Put a sound wall on this tile over here, but I think it wasn't needed. Alright, and then of course I'm going to put some damage traps. I'm going to put damage traps all across here as much as I can, right? So I think over here I'm going to start using some broadsides over here, and put a wooden floor spike here, and retractable over there. And pretty much every tile I see, I'm going to put the electric fields over here. I'm going to remove that for now. Electric fields all the way across. And wall dart over here, just shoot all the way across over there, right? Shoot them all the way across, and a wall dart over here, right? This is again going to be a very basic version of this build. Ceiling electric fields all the way across because I'm not using any tar pits over here. With a force spike, I'm going to put the pole over here for a little bit extra. And I think put wall dart to shoot all the way across with a dynamo on this adjacent over here. And I think I'm going to put dynamos all surround this for lots of damage. And actually this one I'll put as a wall dart. Right. And just keep trapping it out, right? Just keep trapping it up how you would normally. Right? As long as you have the tunnel design over here, just put whatever traps you got. I think I even put a pole over here too. And then I'm going to put the tar pits all the way across, right? And broadside, right? Broadsides over here, and wall darts shooting across. And then put some gas traps over here. So I think I put reload gas traps, ceiling field here, and I think I put reload over here. And then I start putting a little bit more crit gas over here. Finally, I can put a ceiling zapper. Yes, I can put either a ceiling zapper or a crit gas. I think I'm going to put a ceiling zapper at the end. And all across here, I'm going to use broadsides with no reload and double crit rating, double crit damage. Alright, and you should have this is actually pretty basic tunnel design, and if you are just defending by yourself over here, you should be pretty happy with that tunnel design, right? It should be pretty good, right? Especially if you're having defenders out, right? Or if you are being boosted, right? If you're being boosted from other people with higher tech, right? So if you're being boosted and you're on a one-player difficulty, then this would be pretty much more than efficient, right? In terms of a tunnel design, right? You wouldn't need so many extra traps for more damage, right? So let me finish off this block off over here. Right, so this is a very basic tunnel design that should be pretty good for taking out, for at least getting down the smashers extremely low HP, or killing them if you were having a boost, if you're boosted, right? So I'm gonna, in order for this over here to work, you need a minimum of 4 layers over here, right? So I'm gonna put that there, put this around this, like this. I think I'm actually gonna put that up there. So this should be 4 layers over here. Actually, I have 5 layers technically. However, I'm gonna place an additional layer over here for the mist pods that can spawn. Excuse me. All right. So we should have a layering system behind here, just something like that over here. And you should be good to go on that layering, right? So this is a total of 6 layers over here, right? Because a mist pod can spawn, which does break some stuff. I actually don't think I have this over here. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit more on the amplifier, just a little bit more. And I think that should be cool over here. Okay, now if you're using defenders, right, this should be actually more than enough. But suppose you are using defenders over here, let's say, I would highly recommend you to not have these roofs over here. It actually opens up the pathway for them. If you're going to plan on using defenders, just open up these roofs and you should be fine, right? But for me, I plan on not using defenders. Oops. I plan on not using defenders personally, so I left them with traps. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and replace those traps. Actually, this one I placed down a ceiling field. I guess I'm going to put down the super ceiling field, or ceiling zapper. Let's see. All right, yeah, and also wall dart over here, shoot him across. So yeah, this is a very basic tunnel design you can do for damage build, right? Now, of course, you can add more damage traps to improve on it, right? Which I did, and it is very expensive to do, right? I'll warn you that. So, all right, so let me check over here. I think we are good to go. I'm gonna actually, I'll just let's take that for now. So yeah, this is pretty much good overall over here. So what I'm gonna do is actually show you a little bit more expensive version. So let me go over, see how many structures we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. we pretty much have almost 100 structures right left. And we're going to use it quite fast. So let's begin. Right, so I'm going to put a wall dart over here. Right, put a wall dart over here. I'm going to actually, instead of having the wall dart here, I'm actually going to push it one more tile. So previously there's a wall dart here. Now I'm going to push it one more tile over here and place an additional trap for more damage, right? Dynamo. Additionally, I can also put an additional trap over here for more damage, ceiling fields. Now, ceiling fields actually don't really do nearly as much damage as the wall darts or the wall dynamos. So these ceiling fields are actually extremely optional because they don't do nearly as much damage as the two other traps. So this particular trap over here, right, whatever you do, if you're putting extras on these, remember they don't do a lot, right? They don't do a lot compared to the other traps. Right, so just keep that in mind. As well, they only have half the trigger delay. Or sorry, not half the trigger. They only have half the trigger range, right? So this is the only part over here, right? So if I put these wood over here, right, this ceiling field would only hit everything up to this wood over here. If a husk is on this position over here, that ceiling field will not hit it. So keep that in mind over there, right? So these are extremely optional, right? Extremely optional. I'm going to put these ceiling fields just as shown there, which is fine. And what I'm going to do here is put a dynamo over here. Wall dart shooting through here. Right, so these are holes. And I'm going to put a wall dart right behind that over here, right? So I'm going to put wall darts over here behind that. Right, which is cool. I'm going to put a wall dart over here for phasing. Okay. Now, over here, what I'm going to do, instead of the dynamo just on its own, put a wall dart behind that, dynamo over here, okay, with the blue wall, ceiling field, more damage, right? Even though it's not a lot, it will add up. More damage, and then put another dynamo over here, right? And additionally, right, I'm going to put wall darts, a wall dart over here, right, for more damage. And then, since I don't need a low wall over there, it doesn't serve much purpose, then I'm going to put a dynamo over here. The reason why I say it don't serve much purpose, because I tried it putting over here before, and it didn't seem to add much, right? So I just left it out. Okay. And I'm going to push this wall dart one tile back over here, right? Shooting through the pyramid. And then I'm going to put a hole over here. Put the dynamo. Okay. Additionally, shoot the wall dart all the way across back there. Oh yeah, and the wall dart over here, right? Just shoot them all the way through here. And I think that's pretty good at the front here in terms of damage, right? I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna add this floor, this roof over here for connectivity. And yeah, I think that's cool. Wall darts here, wall darts here. Yeah. And oh yeah, I can add a wall dart over here. Alright. So yeah, I'm pretty much trying to milk out as much damage as possible with every single tile. Right? So once we come over here, this broadsides, I think it's okay. I'll just leave them. Now this wall dart over here, I can actually push it back one more tile. And this dynamo, I can keep it, but I can put a wall dart behind it over here. And then we have dynamos over here, right? So wall dart dynamos, lovely. Now once we come up here, now instead of having these as shown here, I'm actually going to put them as dynamos as shown like this, right? Dynamos with low floors. And then we're going to put a wall dart right behind that here, wall dart here, and finally a wall dart here. So there's going to be tons of traps over here. So once they come up here, this ramp, the smasher will get zapped a ton of damage, right? A ton of damage, which is really awesome. Alright, you can actually push this a little bit more with the ceiling electric field over here, if I recall. Actually, never mind. This doesn't work. I remember that doesn't work. Alright. I think this one worked though. I think this one worked somehow. That one didn't. Wasn't sure why. Maybe I'm dreaming. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna remove it. I don't think I need it anyway. Alright, and then we have broadsides over here, which will zap them. Now once we get to this tile over here, I'm going to, instead of using the wall darts like shown there, I'm actually going to push the wall darts one more tile. Push the wall darts one more tile, and then put the dynamos for even more damage. Right? I think that should be overall a pretty good damage build over there, right? Right, a pretty solid damage build, right? I think I had some additional ceiling fields over here, but I don't think they add enough damage to be worth, but I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. Okay. I think that should be cool. Once we get there, and then we just straight line over here. Yep. Okay. And that is pretty much the damage build over here. I might put a wall launcher over here. Maybe I did put a wall launcher over here just in case. Right, I'm just gonna put that there. But yeah, other than that, I think this is good to go. Alright, so if you really want a good damage build, I highly recommend this. Oop, wall dart over here. Yeah, I would highly recommend something like this, where you're pathing the husk extremely far, trying to be as greedy as possible, and eventually reaching the amplifier, right? And this has actually been working pretty good for the Smasher and Mistpod waves, right? The Smasher waves and the UFO waves. So yeah, you should give it a go. I don't really recommend just following my builds and just go at it like that. I would encourage everybody to just try out a build, right? Just try out a build, whether it be no damage at all, or whether it be a damage build, right? There's a lot of potential that you can do. But yeah, that should be this build over here. And I'm going to upgrade everything to tier 3. Alright, so hold your horses. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And what we're going to do right now is essentially we're going to build a lobber shield, right? And I've pretty much built all the tunnels over here, and I was focusing on the tunnels, right? I just wanted to show you exactly what the tunneling system would be like, right? Where we'd pretty much jam as much damage traps as possible. I think in this tile, I actually might change this to a sound wall, because I do notice sometimes they do break on this. So I think putting a sound wall here would be a little bit better, right? A little bit better, and perhaps, perhaps I might actually change this into a, whoops. Yeah, so I think I actually might change this into double broadsides over here instead. But yeah, it was pretty much up to you exactly what kind of damage traps you would use, right? So there's no real exact, you gotta do this trap, right? You gotta do this trap, you gotta do this broadside, you gotta have this as a dynamo. I think it's very flexible what you want to do, really. Right? You can just take this idea and go with it, right? Over here. Excuse me. Alright. But yeah. I'm gonna start building the lobber shield now. I'm gonna upgrade those two later. So the lobber shield, right? Now, something I've actually done a lot of testing on lately, which I may do a video on, I think I actually will do a video on for sure, is the Flinger Range, right? So the Flinger Range over here is actually going to be 9 tiles, right? And the only reason why it's 9 tiles because the flingers are below the amp level, right? So if they're above, or if they're equal to amp level or above, it's 10 tiles. But because they're below, they're going to be 9 tiles, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of counting. So this is 2, right? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to start 9, right? And 9 squared is 81. So we're going to start doing counting, right? So 8 squared plus 1 squared is fine. 8 squared plus 2 squared is fine. 8 squared plus 3 squared is fine. 8 squared plus 4 squared is fine as well. So they can fling from this tile here, right? So they can fling from down there. Those 2 tiles. Alright. And then we are going to go a little bit further. 7, so this is 7, 4. 7 squared, 4 squared is fine. 7 squared, 5 squared is also fine over here. So those 2 tiles they can fling from. But 7 squared, 6 squared is not fine. But yeah, so this is the lobber, flinger over here that they can fling from. Alright, so once we have that, I'm just gonna place it down here. Place it down here, exactly where they can come from. So these are the flingers that they can fling from. Alright, so we have to build a lobber shield just for that over there. The calculations I did, by the way, it requires a little bit of high school math, particularly senior high school math, right? But if you're really curious at how I did it, then I can explain it some other time in another video. Alright, but it's basically just an equation of a circle. Okay, so I'm going to need to block up from those tiles over here because that's where they can fling from, right? Alright, so if they can fling from there, I'm going to put this over here. Alright, so I think this and this, right? And so I should cover pretty much a good amount over here so they can fling from there. So I need a tile over there as well. Right? So I need a tile over here, tile over here. Of course, this one's also part of the flinger as well. So I think this is good here. This is also good here. So it seems like in every position over here seems to be okay. I think maybe over here, since it's also a flinger spot on this tile over here, I may need we need something over there. And this should be good, right? This should definitely be good over here as a lobber shield. This over here, maybe they might come on the edge over here. So I think I'll put one over there too. Alright. Alright, so that is a lobber shield built. Okay, and so we have that, and I'm going to start building my little camping spot. So the camping spot I normally do for pretty much my entire Twine endurance is the same one as the cheesy strats, right? I'm going to do some jump pads, and I'm just going to go all the way across. Now it's important that your camping spot, which I probably forgot to mention in the other video, is actually fairly far south, right? So I think over here should be okay. I think, or even this position over here should be fine. But your camping spot should be fairly south, right? It should be fairly south so that your Wamp amplifier, the assassin huts, are not beating on that, and you have the assassin huts going over here, right? Okay. But yeah, that is the lobber shield over there with the camping spot, and I still have a decent amount of structure. I think I placed down all the structure I need. Let me check how many structures I have left. Of course, doing the cheesy strategy would be much better. 35 structures. It's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Alright, it's going to start upgrading this. But yes, that would be pretty much the amplifier design over here with the lobber shield and my camping spot. Alright, well, I think that would be it for this build, right? Thank you all for watching, and as always, have fun building.